Welcome to OAA Now, your home for Oakland Activities Association news and information. Here's your host, Sammy Taramina.
Welcome to OAA Now. I'm Sammy Taramina, blogger of the Dragon's Den, blog of Inside the OAA, and one of the hosts of Between Terminas and Orion Neighborhood Television. I'd like to welcome our friends watching on Oxford Community Television and also those watching on YouTube. We've had a lot of interesting news going around the football world. Of course, we've just had the we're keeping an eye on the criminal investigation, on the ongoing MHA investigation. At Waterford Mott, and also we've got baseball, softball, girls soccer projections, and also we got a big Saturday coming up, loaded with high school sports. So we've got a good show here today. Of course, let's look at our main story, which is the what is going on at Waterford Mott. Of course, this was a story that broke just recently. Waterford Mott football, of course, they're under investigation by the MHA for illegal recruiting and illegal camps and practices. Of course, the more serious of the charges is the word undue influence for athletic purposes, which is against MHA rules. And if found guilty, then the Waterford Mott football coaching staff, of course, led by head coach Chris Farr, could be banned for 4 years for that punishment, and there could be restrictions handed out with other punishments, such as having an illegal camp and practices. Now, what happened was, I guess that Nick McCabe, of course, he works at the Detroit Free Press, got a tip from the Detroit from somewhere that Waterford Mott was having an illegal gathering going around at Waterford Mott, going on there. And he caught a picture, and there was more than 60 kids at this camp, at this apparent gathering. Many of them were football players from Waterford Mott. The others were from Pierce and Mason middle schools. Both of them, of course, they're feeder middle schools to the Waterford School District, in which they send students to Waterford Mott and Waterford Kettering. Of course, the Waterford Public Schools are also investigating this matter as well. So this is very interesting. Now, MHA rule does state that it does not allow coaches to provide instruction to more than 4 players from season's end until the Sunday after Memorial Day. Now, this parent gathering took place May 15th. It was on a Sunday, and they've been doing this program from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. every Sunday. And that is illegal because MHA rule says you cannot have a camp until June, until the end of the school year in mid-June. And what happened here was Waterford Mott had a gathering. Now, Chris Farr said to McCabe in the Detroit Free Press article that it was a camp. You can't have a camp at that time. You can't have that because it's against MHA rules. And Farr ended up doing that. Other allegations do include that, of course, one player claimed that this started in November, and coaches said it was mandatory for football players. Farr denied that claim it was mandatory. And then you look at other rules included 3 Pontiac football players. They played on Waterford Mott's 7-on-7 team last season. Pontiac's athletic director, Leah Montgomery, saw pictures from my prep zone that the 3 played on Mott's 7-on-7 team. But they ended up not playing for Waterford Mott during the season last year, and they played at Pontiac instead. So that was an allegation there. And then Eddie Wilson, of course, he played at West Bloomfield. He's now at Purdue. He was influenced by Farr to go to Waterford Mott, but decided to stay at West Bloomfield. He was offered his chance to pick his own number and everything to go play over there, but Wilson declined playing at Waterford Mott. Of course, there was an attempt by some of Waterford Mott's football coaches, and to get a student from Abbott who ended up playing at Avondale, wanted him to come to Mott, but athletic director Keith Gust at Avondale contacted the Waterford head AD Allison Sartorius about this matter, and there was flyers that were handed out at Pearson Mason Middle School relating to this. And, this is a complete mess over at Waterford Mott. When the free press is over at your school, and they catch a picture, there is virtual evidence online. You go on the Detroit Free Press website, there is virtual evidence that this occurred on that Sunday. And here's the thing. There was coaches present here. They split the groups up. One was a 7-on-7 skills group, and the other one was linemen. Was for linemen to learn their techniques. You can't have this. You really can't. It's against MHA rule, and that's the reason why this program is under investigation. And when you look at what happened, when you look at what Farr said was this was supposed to be a camp, and that money was collected. It was open to anybody in the school district. You can't have that. People are still in season in spring sports. He denied everything. He denied basically, and the fact that this was going on for 3 seasons, what is this program thinking here? What are they thinking? I know there's going to be several Waterford Mott players, several players and parents defending the program. A lot of them are defending Farr, and this coaching staff through social media. The reason why these players and parents feel like they're targeted is because of Waterford Mott's last 2 seasons. Of course, both those seasons, they were 6-3. Of course, Waterford Mott back in 2014, actually won the KLA North title. And, they finished 6-3, lost in the first round of the playoffs. Last season, when they had Des Fitzpatrick on that team, they were 6-3, ended up losing the first round. They got crushed by nobody Detroit Catholic Central, 42-6. But when you look at this team coming up for Waterford Mott, with the addition of Keith Fields from Lake Orion coming in there, Waterford Mott really has not made a lot of true impacts. But, with how they're getting kids from all over the place, from Clarkston, Lake Orion, Pontiac, West Bloomfield, Auburn Hills, that raises a red flag. It really raises a red flag that when you have people, going to their parents, saying that they're interested in bringing your kid to Waterford Mott, would the kid be tempted to take the offer? I don't know. But, when you look at, these are serious allegations. And of course, like I said, the big one here is the influence to get for athletic purposes. On the influence of athletic purposes, these guys could be banned out to 4 years. There could be severe restrictions. Question: we don't know how long this has been going on. We really don't. And you look at what happened here, and this is on camera. There is a clip I mean, I got to give Nick McCabe a lot of credit here. A lot of credit for what he exposed here. These are serious allegations. I've talked to some people about this, and they said, well, you got to drop the hammer on these guys. And then others saying, well, he made a mistake. But how many years has he been doing this for? How many years? And, could this result in the forfeiture of games? I don't know. Could this result into, them not... I mean, there are times that I believe the MHA should have a death penalty. They should have a case where when you look at college football going on, we all remember SMU had the death penalty. They got that. I think Baylor's going to get it. And I think the MHA, I think high school sports should have a death penalty where you shut down the program for 1 or 2 years. I think that the MHA seriously needs to consider that. And there's other questions though to this. Have there been other schools that have done this type of program? Have there been others? Now, I don't know if, there's some out there that think Detroit Cass Tech is doing this. I don't think Thomas Wiltshire is that crazy to do this. But what this tells me is that Chris Farr and his staff at Waterford, Vermont is desperate enough to at least do this type of recruiting, bring players into Waterford, Vermont, believing that they could be stars on the gridiron, and making them play at Mott for 4 years. Are these kids there for academics? Or are they there for the athletic purposes to win? This has the makings of a dirty football program over at Waterford Mott. And, and this undue influence charge, which is a serious one. You got to look at Facebook accounts. You got to look at Twitter accounts. You got to look at various social media, emails, to see if this staff is found guilty. I don't know if they should be allowed to coach again. And then, of course, the off-season workouts, the 7-on-7. And if that was found to be true, then you severely limit how much they do. Now, it's not going to matter that a kid's going to be doing, they could do their off-season workouts on their own, but when you have coaches present, and you're having this type of gathering at Sunday at 5 p.m., that's a red flag right there. Seriously. And how can more than 60 kids show up at a practice, at a gathering, when it's not mandatory? How is that possible? And football coaches are present? You gotta be kidding me. This is probably one of the lowest I've seen in a football program. Very low. I know Farr denies it. Says it was a camp. That there were 6th, 7th, and 8th graders there. They were forced to pay money. Do you believe that? There has to be some evidence. Do you believe that? And even so, that's a violation of the rules. I know Waterford Vermont football has a Twitter thing that says Mott versus everybody. Everybody's very upset right now with Mott. I think when you look at this program, the last in history has been absolutely horrifying, terrible until the last 2 seasons. They've been horrible, horrifying, terrible. It was ugly. They've only won 2 games until the last 2 years. I mean, you got to really look at the year from 2014 and 2015 with Mott. You really got to look at those 2-6-3 records. Now, the kids and families can understand. They can defend their coach all they want to. But I think the MHA is going to have to seriously take a look at this situation. And end of the day, when you look at this, it's going to come down to either, if the Free Press story is accurate, it's going to come down to how is the evidence. If Farr gets off and a stamp gets up with a slap in the face, then what does it say about the MHA? What does it say about that whole league? What does it say about the MHA? And then, of course, that's not to mention the Waterford School District investigation. Athletic Director Allison Sartorius. I know her personally. Great respect for her. She's investigating this matter. There have been numerous complaints from other athletic directors that this has been going on for years. And that Waterford Mott seriously is taking advantage, seriously trying to get influence on these young kids to bring them over to Mott. Is it for academic purposes? I don't know. But it's clearly athletics. When you look at, I've got a kid, I'm looking at Huda and say, hey, let me look at this kid. Let me email this kid. You know, see if he wants to come to Mott. You have a feeder school in Mason Middle School who's a good program, and you have, what I don't understand is you have 2 feeder schools that feeds kids in the Waterford School District. What makes no sense is Pierce Middle School is located right next to Waterford Kettering. Makes no sense. Mason Middle School is on one boulevard. I can see a lot of those kids going to Scott Lake Road, playing for the Corsairs. But students going from Pierce Middle School to Waterford Mott? Are you serious? Kettering is next door? I understand Waterford Kettering is a very, very unstable program. But, you know, they just got another head coach in there. But Waterford Mott, what they've been doing for years, this is very troubling. Very, very troubling. Farr denies it that that it was a practice. But what was it then? What was it? Whatever it was, it's a violation of MHA rules. I mean, there's so much damning evidence here that this deserves Farr and his staff a 4-year ban. This is, and we don't know how many years this has been going on. We don't know. It's sick. It's terrifying and horrifying. Another report here, according to Avondale's coach, of course, he coached at Avondale, coached at Waterford Mott for 14 years, Ed Crouchier, assistant coach at Birmingham Seaholm. Waterford Kettering's coach caught him in a practice with shoulder pads and helmets on. He's surprised Farr is still coaching. First of all, then that's another set of rule violations there. that's another set. Because you look at what happened over there and if you're caught with shoulder pads and shoulder helmet and shoulder pads on and football helmets on, football helmets are fine during the summer, but shoulder pads, no. How would the kids feel when you're in 100-degree heat, practicing wearing shoulder pads? It's not right. That's not right at all. Football helmets are fine, but shoulder pads, no. There is specific guidelines, specific rules in here that state that you can wear pads, you can wear shoulder pads, but that is during the season, not in the off season. This has got disaster written all over for Water, Vermont. I'm sorry here, but this has got disaster written all over for the Corsair program. But we'll keep an eye on the story for sure when it comes out. Of course, I would expect a ruling probably in the next week or two. We'll keep an eye on the situation. Here's the thing with Water, Vermont. They've been mentioned to come to the OAA, and I still think they're going to come. But this is not a good start with their football program under investigation by the MHSA. So we'll keep an eye on the stories. We will. So, okay, now when we come back, we're going to talk about the districts for baseball, softball, and girls soccer here on OAA Now.
I'm Oakland County Sheriff Mike Bouchard and former Red Wing great Joey Koster reminding you to follow the rules regarding boater safety. Always operate at safe speeds, avoid alcohol, and wear a life jacket. Don't let a great day on the water be ruined by bad decisions.
Welcome back to OAA Now. I'm Sammy Termina here. Trying to recover from Water, Vermont issues. Try not to say my opinion, but there's a lot of investigation. There's a lot going on with the situation with Water, Vermont, and the fact that this program, when looking at the situation, really has not been, really has been unstable. But this is by far very, very scary when you look at the situation with them and their program. That if the MHA were to have a death penalty, I think I think it would be implied to this program, to the Water, Vermont football program. I would seriously think the MHA committee should look at maybe installing a death penalty, sort of like that type of thing that shuts down a program for the next maybe year or two. I think it makes a lot of sense. Barring them for a couple of years, we'll do that. But I just think the MHA seriously needs to look at a death penalty type for the football program, so to make sure that this never happens again. Well, let's look at districts coming up here for baseball, softball, and it's very interesting when you look at the situation with the with baseball. We'll go with baseball first. Of course, this is a very interesting. We'll preview about the 8 districts here. But this was an interesting one over at District 18 at Southfield. Of course, the game set is Tuesday. You got Detroit Renaissance taking on Redford Thurston. It's at 4 p.m. And then, of course, the Saturday games will include that winner of Redford Thurston. Detroit Renaissance will play Oak Park. And you had Detroit University Detroit Jesuit playing Southfield at 11 a.m. When I look at that baseball district over there, the Cubs have had a really rough year. When you look at the season they had, I still think that they're favored. Southfield's an interesting one because they were middle of the pack team in the gold division, but I just don't think that anybody can knock off Detroit Renaissance heading into the district. No, actually knocking off Detroit University Detroit Jesuit in the district. I do believe it's going to be Detroit Renaissance with Detroit University Detroit Jesuit. But at the end of the day, I just think that UOD Jesuit will win this district and move on to the regional in baseball over there at Southfield. Next district's at Troy. Of course, you have a game with Troy Athens taking on Berkeley at 4 p.m. on Tuesday. That winner will take on Warren Mott. And, of course, Royal Oak will play Troy at 10 a.m. This, to me, is an even district, as I mentioned earlier. But you look at Troy, Athens. I mean, like, Troy's not been consistent this year. Royal Oak's a sleeper team. But I still think with the experience that Troy Athens had last year at state quarterfinal run, the unexpected state quarterfinal run that they had, I like the Red Hawks because of their experience to move on in this regional, in this district to move on to the regional here. So very interesting. I think there's 3 teams that have a shot at winning it, but you got to give an edge to Athens in that district. District 26 at Seaholm. Of course, this is a good one here. You got Lathrop Brother Rice. Lathrop's a team that not a lot of people are talking about. It's a 4:30 start. That winner will take on Booby Hills at 10 a.m. Seaholm McGraws will play 30 minutes at the first semifinal. This is a very underrated district when looking at some of these teams. Now, Brother Rice is favored, no doubt about that, because they have a very good pitcher in Carl Kaufman. But when you look at the other teams around here, Lathrop's not bad. Groves could be probably the only team that can give Birmingham Brother Rice problems. And I did say earlier that I believe personally that Groves has a great shot upsetting Birmingham Brother Rice. Now, remember a couple of years ago, nobody thought West Bloomfield would have a chance to upset Birmingham Brother Rice, and they did that. It was about 3 years ago when they upset the Warriors. I believe personally that a lot of people are high on the Warriors. I still think Brother Rice will win this district, but don't be surprised if Groves wins this district at all. I mean, Groves is a team to keep an eye on. There's no doubt about that. End of the day, I believe that Groves and Brother Rice will be a heck of a game. But Brother Rice at the end of the day will win this game. I think they'll win this game, and it'll be very close. But they got to be very careful. So it's not a slam dunk with Birmingham Brother Rice winning the baseball district. It really is not. So you think about that. There. District 27 for baseball's at Stony Creek. Of course, Utica, Eisenhower, Romeo, Stony Creek, Rochester. After that, this is the same matchup as last season, but it's at a different venue. Of course, last season it took place at Utica Eisenhower, where Utica Eisenhower won the district there. Interesting article that MI Prep Zone and Macomb Daily both said that Eisenhower would win this district. I think Stony Creek wins this district, and this is why I think Stony Creek will win it. And it's because, Stony Creek, of course, last season Rochester and Utica Eisenhower played, and Rochester had a chance to win that game, but Rochester ended up losing that game. I think Stony Creek being at home is very important here. Home field advantage does matter, and I think that, end of the day, I just thought, looking at Stony Creek, they played a more tougher schedule. They've beaten Rochester 3 times this season. And, they've had some success against Utica Eisenhower. End of the day, I've got to go with Stony Creek. I like how this Cougar staff is built. It's going to be very interesting, but I do like Stony Creek to go through in this baseball district. District 28 at Oxford, very interesting. Got Waterford Mott, Oxford, 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday. Then that winner will take on Adams at 10 a.m. And then you have Orion and Clarkson 30 minutes after the first semifinal. I think it's going to be an Orion versus Adams district final. And I think I like Adams' pitching staff. It's going to be a low-scoring game. But it wouldn't surprise me if Orion wins this district. But with Adams, they swept Orion 3 times. They swept Orion this season. They've proven that they can go in with their pitching staff. I think Adams' pitching staff is a little bit better than the Dragons right now. I think Adams, and they have experience as well. So Adams, of course, remember they went to the regional semis last year where they were upset by Troy Athens. They were regional final, but they were upset by Troy Athens. So I think Adams will win this time around and move on to baseball districts. So that's an interesting. But it wouldn't surprise me if Orion moves on and wins that district. What really wouldn't surprise me if neither the Highlanders or the Dragons will win that district. District 29 at Waterford Kettering, of course, you got Walled Lake Northern taking on West Bloomfield at 4 p.m. That winner takes on Walled Lake Central at 10 a.m. Waterford Kettering and Walled Lake Western is 30 minutes at the first semifinal. When I look at this one here, the Lakers have played in a tougher league. I like West Bloomfield coming out. They're more experienced. They're more balanced than the rest of the field. But I think Walled Lake Central will give them a challenge in the district semifinal. But West Bloomfield really should win this district. And I think West Bloomfield will win this district. It'll be the third district title in 3 years. And I think it's going to be a very interesting regional for West Bloomfield. I think I like this Laker team, how they're built, how they're constructed. They're going to be solid. They'll be fine. Then you got District 30 at Livonia-Stevenson. Of course, got Harrison taking on Farmington at 10 a.m. Livonia-Stevenson versus North Farmington, 30 minutes after the first semifinal. Farmington, this is a great opportunity for Farmington because they're 1 game back at Groves. Well, they won the white title this year, but North Farmington's solid as well. Livonia-Stevenson's very solid as well. But when I look at this district, I think Farmington, they'll get to the district final. But I really like Livonia-Stevenson because Livonia-Stevenson, it's at their home field. Home field matters here. For Farmington, this would be great if they win their first district title since 2007 when they went to state final. But I think Livonia-Stevenson, though, I think they're on a mission. I really like how Livonia-Stevenson is built heading into the district. Division 2, let's go District 60. They're at Warren, Lincoln, of course, Ferndale, Hazel Park, 4 p.m. That winner plays Warren Fitzgerald at 10 a.m. Centerline and Warren, Lincoln, 30 minutes to the first semifinal. You got to go with Centerline here because I think the Centerline's a very good team. This is a mismatched district. Centerline's an interesting team, but end of the day, you got to go with Centerline. I mean, this district, though, has got them written all over it. I think the fun district for baseball will be at Pontiac Notre Dame Prep, of course. You got Orchard Lake, St. Mary's, and Cranbrook, 10 a.m. Avondale versus Notre Dame Prep, 30 minutes at the first semifinal. This has the makings of an awesome district final between Avondale and Orchard Lake St. Mary's. Orchard Lake St. Mary's, they made the Catholic League Championship game, lost to Birmingham Brother Rice. Avondale won the blue title. It was a very difficult division. But Avondale, I think, has got the athletes that can match with St. Mary's. And when you look at the that matchup, it would be an incredible matchup. Now, a lot of people are going to give the edge to Orchard Lake St. Mary's because of experience. I thought this over, and I thought this over for a little while. But end of the day, I've got to go with Avondale. I'm picking the upset. I think that there's something in Avondale in the step of this team, in the step of this season. I like Avondale a lot here in this district to move on. Let's go to girls soccer. Of course, this one's a very interesting one. Of course, that's coming up on Tuesday. Of course, let's go to District 9 at Novi. Of course, Novi, you got to give them the early favorite. They've only lost 1 game all year. North Farmington, Farmington, Mercy, Walled Lake Western's got to be considered to be in the hunt. But I got to go with Novi here to move on. Novi, very good team. Them and Northville, perhaps, I think, the class of the KLA. And Novi's a state soccer power to start off. So this will be a good one. I think that Novi here has got a great opportunity to move on into the regional round of the playoffs. District 11 at Orion, of course, favors Rochester Adams, but teams in the hunt are Bloomfield Hills, Waterford, West Bloomfield. When I look at Adams, they've been up and down this year. The Highlanders were a team that's been up and down. Bloomfield Hill has been a team on the rise. Same thing with West Bloomfield, Waterford. I didn't consider Clarkson in here, nor Lake Orion in here. I thought Orion had a miserable season this year. Of Clarkson battles some teams tough, but I thought it over. It'd be a great district final between Rochester Adams and Bloomfield Hills. I think, end of the day, though, I like Bloomfield Hills coming out. I just think they got more experience, a little bit more. I think it got a little bit more, that more it factor. Whereas Adams, of course, has been on and off this season. But Adams has played a much more tougher schedule lately. But end of the day, you got to go with. I think Bloomfield Hills pulls off the upset and shocks Rochester Adams. I think it's going to come down to penalty kicks when you look at that situation there. District 12 at Oxford, you got Grand Blanc in there. Lapeer Oxford, both of them are going to one of them is going to see Grand Blanc in the semifinals. No one's touching Grand Blanc. Sorry. No one's touching them. District 13 at Utica, of course, you got Utica Eisenhower, undefeated this year in girls soccer. Stony Creek, Utica Ford, Romeo, Rochester, all in the hunt. I said Stony Creek was one of the best teams in Oakland County, but them and Rochester got sent out east to go play with Utica Ford, who's ranked 8th in the state. Romeo won the MAC Blue this year, and of course Rochester won the OAA White. So good district. Anybody can win this district, but I think Utica Eisenhower, though, is on a mission to win this district and to win a state title. This would be a huge accomplishment for the Eagles to see where they're at. I like the Eagles coming out of this district, but it wouldn't surprise me if Utica Ford wins this district or Stony Creek wins this district, because I think those are the two teams I think have the great chances, to win this district. But you got to give the edge to Utica Eisenhower in this district. District 14 is at Royal Oak. Troy Athens is the favorite, but you got to keep an eye on Troy, Seaholm, Berkeley, and Warren Mott. End of the day, though, I just think nobody's touching Troy Athens. I think the Red Hawks are a very dangerous team, and I think they could be a threat to Grand Blanc and maybe perhaps win a state title. So we'll see. I like Athens' chances in this district. District 23 at Farmington. This is Division 2 now. Favorite South Lyon East. Farmington, Livonia, Ladywood in this district. I got to go with the hosts. I know what my preps on Livonia, Ladywood. I'm going with the hosts because I think Farmington, they're at home. Home surroundings will help them. End of the day, I got to go with the host school. And Farmington is the host school. And I think they're going to move on despite the fact that South Lyon East is favored to win this district. District 24 at Detroit Country Day. Of course, you got Detroit Country Day and Birmingham Marion. It's going to be one of those two. I don't think Hazel Park's got a chance. But Detroit Country Day should win this district over Birmingham Marion in a district final, which I think is going to be great. And I think it's going to be very interesting, to say the least. District 25 at St. Clair Shores, Lake Shore. Of course, Avondale's in this district. I put them in the hunt. Favorites Pontiac Notre Dame Prep. But you also got Warren Regina here in this district. So I think at the end of the day, I like Pontiac Notre Dame Prep to come out of that district and win that outright. And last but not least, you got District 41 that's at Clawson. When you look at Ferndale's here in this district, so the favorite here, I got to give Macomb Lutheran North the edge. Clawson's in the hunt. They're at home. But end of the day, I think Macomb Lutheran North played much tougher conference, and I think they're gonna be the team that wins this district and moves on into the regional rounds. So, final thoughts on girls soccer. Of course, it's been an interesting district, interesting district. I still think end of the day, that Troy Athens is a great shot at pulling this off. Now they're gonna have to deal with Utica Eisenhower in the next round. And Grand Blanc more later on into the later rounds. So this will be very interesting, to say the least, with how that is played out. Okay, now when we come back, we're going to preview softball districts and also more football information. Of course, we found out where and we'll preview the Battle of the Big House here on OAA Now.
We want a Habitat home I love working on my Habitat home.
Soy dueño de una casa de Habitat.
My neighbor is a Habitat homeowner.
Being a Habitat homeowner has changed our lives.
My mortgage payment for Habitat is less than what I paid for rent.
Habitat for Humanity of Oakland County currently has homes available with mortgage payments lower than most rent payments. If you or someone you know needs decent and affordable housing, call 248-338-1843 or visit our website at habitatoakland.org.
Welcome back to OAA Now. I'm Sammy Taramina here. Of course, the football. Of course, in football. Of course, we talked about the what's going on at Waterford Mott, but some positive news. Of course, the OAA will be having 3 teams in the Battle of the Big House. Of course, the Battle of the Big House will be played from August 25th to August 27th. That's going to be held at Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor, in which you got 3 teams definitely in that tournament. You got in that for the week 1 games. Of course, it is co-hosted by Clarkston and Lapeer. So, and both those 2 teams are playing each other on August 26th at 7 o'clock. That's going to be a heck of a game between those 2 teams. I still think Lapeer is favored over Clarkston because of their experiences they got back and how their program is built. But in the other games, of course, the other 2 games, one is a rematch of the 2012 playoffs between Walled Lake Western and Farmington. That's being played at 5 o'clock on August the 27th. Of course, Walled Lake Western beat Farmington 31-28 in the playoffs in the pre-district that year. Farmington is 2-9 against Walled Lake Western. Ouch. And then the other game is the game, I think, August 25th at 7 o'clock with Farmington Hills Harrison rematching East Kentwood, which that game was an instant classic. It was 35-28 in favor of the Falcons last season, knocking off the Hawks. So it'll be a good game between East Kentwood and Farmington Hills Harrison. Of course, East Kentwood was very senior heavy last year. Now they got a very young team back. And Harrison, of course, we've known that their struggles. Harrison lost a lot, but they do got some very talented players coming back, led by Obi Ogato over at Harrison. So it'll be interesting what happens at the Battle of the Big House in Ann Arbor. But 3 great games surrounding the OA teams. Clarkson taking on Lapeer is the big one. And then you got Harrison taking on East Kentwood. And also Walled Lake Western taking on Farmington. All being played at the Big House in Ann Arbor. Let's go to softball districts. Of course, this is a very interesting. I forgot to mention about softball early in the second segment. We talked baseball and girls soccer, and then let's go with District 18. It's first at Southfield. Of course, it's all the Saturday games. Southfield plays Oak Park at 11 a.m. and Redford Thurston plays Detroit Renaissance 30 minutes the first semifinal. It's a bad district. I look at it here, very bad district. Southfield Oak Park struggled this year. Redford Thurston, we don't know much about them. Detroit Renaissance, I just went with Detroit Renaissance. I really think that the Phoenix are a team that's got speed, got talent. I think end of the day, I like how this team is crafted, how they're built. So I got to go with Detroit Renaissance by default. So, in that one. District 25 at Troy. Troy Athens Berkeley, 4:30 p.m. That winner plays Warren Mott. Troy and Royal Oak plays at 10 a.m. This is an interesting district because when I look at this one, you got Troy, of course, and Troy Athens. Troy Athens played in a lower division, the white, this year. But Troy, of course, they've not been consistent this year in the red. And it's an unfortunate situation when you look at how Troy is built and how Troy Athens is built. Troy's won 12 of the last 14 district crowns. MI Prep Zone's going with Troy. I'm going with Troy Athens. Athens and Troy both split this year. They split 1 game each. I know it's at Troy's home field, but I just have a feeling, of course, a couple years ago in volleyball, who would ever thought that Athens would go into Troy and upset Troy? And Athens went in there and upset Troy in volleyball. So end of the day, I've got to go, and that was last season. That wasn't this year, but it was last season. But I think personally, Troy Athens, the way that they're playing, I can't trust Troy with how not consistent they've been playing. I really can't. But end of the day, I've got to go with Troy Athens to knock out Troy. I think Troy Athens more of a consistent team than Troy, but you never know. But I'm going with Troy Athens. They're going to deny Troy their 13th to 15 district crowns. So let's go to Birmingham. Let's go to District 26 at Seaholm, of course. Bloomfield Hills play Seaholm at 10 a.m. Groves and Lathrop 30 minutes later. A lot of people ask me about Groves and Seaholm, how even they were this year. They were very even. But a team I really think's a dark horse is Bloomfield Hills. Because when you look at this team, the Blackhawks are an interesting team to keep an eye on, no doubt. Because Bloomfield Hills, dark horse team, they're a dangerous team. I think, though, end of the day, you look at the situation there. I mean, with how Bloomfield Hills played in the blue, this is a team that should not have been in the blue this year. But I think they're going to beat both Seaholm and Groves and move on. I really believe that this is a team that can really do some damage and win this district. And I think they're going to win this district outright. I mean, because they got a great draw. I think they can beat Seaholm, and I think they can beat Groves. But, like I said, Bloomfield Hills, of course, are a big school, big enrollment. There's no reason why they shouldn't win this district. District 27 at Stony Creek. When you look at this one, Stony Creek, Rochester, 10 a.m. Utica Eisenhower, Romeo, 30 minutes per semifinal. Stony Creek's won 30 games this year for the first-year coach. Here's the problem. Romeo's in this district. Romeo's got hitting. Romeo can hit you hard. They can hit you easy. They got 2 All-State players. How is this such a mismatch? Stony Creek will move on and play Romeo, but I think they're going to get destroyed by Romeo, and the Bulldogs will move on. Pretty much simple math. It's pretty much simple in all reality. And Romeo could wait either the winner of the Oxford District winner, which is coming up next. When you look at, in that district, it could either be Clarkson or Lake Orion. And that first one, Waterford plays Oxford. That's a mismatch. Oxford will win that easily. I think Hannah Bashan, I believe that's her name. She's going to have a huge game. She's going to be a huge day. I'd be shocked if Waterford pulls off the unthinkable. But I don't think they're going to do that. That winner gets Adams. Clarkson Orion's the big one. In that game with Clarkson and Orion, of course, that was 10-7 coming in the 4th inning. How many runs did Clarkson score? 0. Orion scored 2 and should have won that game. But Clarkson ended up surviving. Clarkson's pitching's gotten much better. I still don't trust it. I really don't. Especially when you have Orion's vaunted hitting lineup. Clarkson's got a vaunted hitting lineup as well. I still think Orion wins this game because I think Orion's a little bit more real balanced. I still think the Dragons will send Sierra Gonzalez in that first game. I think Sierra Gonzalez is much better. I think Sierra Gonzalez is a very good pitcher. I think Orion's got more balance than Clarkson. I really do. And I think it's going to show right here. It's going to show in this district, and Orion's going to play Oxford. And I think the Dragons move on. They've been ranked all year in the state. They've had a strong year under Joe Whitera. But that Clarkson-Orion game is going to be a heck of a game. That's going to have a lot of drama on it. That'll have some serious drama. District 29 at Waterford Kettering. Of course, when you look at this one, Wall Lake Northern, West Bloomfield, 4 p.m. Then you got Wall Lake West versus Waterford Kettering, 10 a.m. That winner of Wall Lake Northern, West Bloomfield, take on Wall Lake Central. When you look at this one, Waterford Kettering got a beautiful draw. Really beautiful. They play Wall Lake Western, who they should win. And then they'll either get Wall Lake Northern or Wall Lake Central. if Kettering was to play Walled Lake Central, I think Kettering matches them up much better than they do Walled Lake Northern. Because I think Walled Lake Northern's a much better team than Waterford Kettering, despite the fact that Kettering has got a very good stud pitcher. I just think personally, when you look at this matchup here, this is a pretty bad matchup, I think, for Waterford Kettering if it's Walled Lake Northern. Because one of the top players in the game, Courtney Callahan, can definitely come out and have an impact game. She's had a couple of them this year. I like Walled Lake Northern coming out. I don't think West Bloomfield's got a shot in this district. But I think that Walled Lake Northern will win that district over Waterford Kettering. It'll be a heck of a game, low scoring game. But I think Courtney Callahan's the difference in that district in that game on Saturday. District 30 at Livonia Stevenson. Farmington, Livonia Stevenson at 4 p.m. Harrison, Farmingdale's Mercy at 10 a.m. Livonia Stevenson / Farmington will take on North Farmington. Farmington Hills Mercy is on a mission. They've got a couple of studs on that team, but led by Abby Krzyzewski. She's going to Mobile next year. She's going to play her softball college-wise in Mobile. This Marlin team could be a team of destiny, trying to get back to state final, where they end up losing to Caledonia. But if there's one pitcher I think that could give Mercy fits, and if she's on her game, it's Alexis Cherney. Because Cherney's a senior. You know, she's a senior. I think that, and if she's on her game, I think North Farmington's got a shot. They've got to keep Mercy off the scoreboard. I don't think they're going to be able to do that. But Krzyzewski is going to likely break the state record in home runs. You know, and her team, I think, is going to have an easy time in this district of Livonia Stevenson. Just an easy time. So, I got Mercy moving on the regional there. District 60 at Centerline. Hazel Park, Ferndale, 4 o'clock. That winner's taking on Warren Fitzgerald in the second game. Warren Lincoln and Centerline at 10 a.m. This is bad. This district's very bad. I could just throw a dart and see who wins this district. The dart I threw was Centerline. Centerline won this district easily. And I'll move on. Last but not least is the district at Pontiac Notre Dame Prep. Of course, it's District 62, where you got Avondale versus Notre Dame Prep at 10 a.m. Birmingham Marion versus Cranbrook Kingwood 30 minutes at the first semifinal. I know Notre Dame Prep is still very upset after getting knocked off by Farmington Hills Mercy. They were destroyed. They were mercied. This is very much perfect to end your anger and your frustration by taking out the rest of the field. I don't think Avondale's got much of a chance in this district. I don't think Cranbrook Kingswood or Birmingham Marion have a chance. I think this is the one where Pontiac Notre Dame Preparatory is going to take advantage, being at home, on their home field. They're going to annihilate the competition. They're going to destroy the competition. And I think, at the end of the day, this is a matchup where I think that Pontiac Notre Dame Preparatory is going to smash the competition in Division 2. I forgot to mention District 60 is also Division 2. And they're just going to devour this district. That's what I think is going to happen. And of course, we got lacrosse semifinal action. Of course, I think the big one's Lake Orion Clarkson. That winner's taking up Irving Brother Ice in lacrosse. We'll see what happens there. That'll be a good game. Really good game. Final thoughts. We'll keep an eye on the Waterford Mott football situation over there. Of course, Waterford Mott, as I mentioned, is in the Kensington Lakes Athletic Association. But there have been rumblings that Waterford Mott could be a team considering coming to the OAA, which I think could very well happen in the next 1 or 2 years. And keep an eye on the situation, see what happens to Chris Farr. Keep an eye on the updates on the blog at Inside the OAA and also on the and what type of impacts will it have on future recruits coming over to Waterford Mott. So we'll keep an eye on that situation, no doubt. But we also got to keep an eye on what is going on at keep an eye also what's going on across the entire state of Michigan. Of course, the spring season is starting to wind down. Districts are going on as we speak. Big Saturday is up. We got track finals going on. I think Oak Park's favored in both boys and girls. Got to keep an eye on East Kentwood in the boys. And then in the girls, I think Oak Park will three-peat this year. I like how they're constructed, how this could be a very interesting year for the Knights. A lot of certain individuals going out there. I think Connor Bandel trying to break Cullen Perena's discus record, state record. He's already broken the state record in the county meet. Of course, Oak Park won both the boys and girls in the county meet there. And also, in both boys and girls, the freshmen actually both went to Lake Orion. And, we'll see what happens there in the track and field ranks. Of course, it's the last week of track and field. Also, you got tennis state finals coming up. Of course, very interesting to see how that's going to turn out there. Stony Creek's a team to keep an eye on for sure there. But like I said, and of course we got basketball, of course we got baseball, softball, and girls soccer. Of course that's coming up, and of course the beginning of football workouts after mid-June. So, and also we will have MHA districts coming up in June. So, big month for the entire league, the OAA. Of course, we'll keep an eye on all of it here on OAA Now. And we'll see what happens. Okay, now I'm going to sign it off here. I'm Sammy Terramina. Good night. God bless. Take care, everybody.
OAA Now is produced at Orion Neighborhood Television, Lake Orion's community media outlet. To learn more about ONTV, visit our website at www.orionontv.org or call us at 248-393-1060.